Sham, Pranav, Abhishek, and Vandana are also the contributor to the Bangalore meetup group. Uh, a bit about myself. So I'm a MuleSoft mentor. Talking about my experience, I have more than 10 years of experience into middleware domain and specifically 7 years plus into Mule side. I'm certified, all certified into Mule, and I'm also certified in other technologies like Xwave, Okato, and APG. I've written few of the technical blogs, and now today we'll be talking about majorly for the MCP protocol. So I'll just share this MCP part. So you can go to the website known as Mortal Context Protocol. Uh, the reason why we are discussing this protocol today is we have to understand why this protocol is being used and in what context it is being used. So this protocol is used along with agents. Uh, you have learned a lot or heard a lot about the agentic AI or AI agentic or agentic AI, right? So whatever the agents today are available in the market, like Claude is there, Windsurf is there, Cursors is there, and we have we have our Agent Force, right? So now Agent Force has also started the support for it with the new release, right? Maybe you guys have heard about it. So MCP is same to a agent what an HTTP or rather what an REST protocol is to the API. So we talk with API over a protocol known as REST, right? What the protocol tells us that whenever you are posting a data, the method has to be post, right? It should have some headers, it should have some parameters, there should be a URL, there should be a host, there should be data, the data should be in either raw, it should be JSON or XML. So this is a protocol which is written by some organization, and all of the internet facing applications and the companies have accepted that thing as a standard way of communication between different APIs or between the client to server model. We have a client, you are a client and you're communicating to any server, right? You are communicating via APIs, and that is the way you will communicate. So what a REST is to the APIs, the same is MCP to the agents. Now the agents want to communicate to your systems. We work with ChatGPT, right? You go to chatgpt.com, and let me today put a question to it. Can you help me book an appointment for Ricky? So Ricky is one of the patient in my Salesforce database uh, for one of my client, and I want to book an appointment for Ricky. Okay, so I go to ChatGPT and check whether can he do this for me. I might have to run this in incognito because it already knows full of the information. Mm, okay. So it says, sorry, I cannot directly book. What kind of information, doctor, dentist, preferred time, and all that stuff. So it cannot directly book because it does not have an access to our Salesforce database. So whether it is a Salesforce database or any kind of a resource, can be an API, can be a database, can be uh, any kind of API, right? So the models like ChatGPT and other kind of a model, right? They are trained on the data which is available on the internet. So they have been trained for so long on the data which is available on the internet. They are not being trained or are not aware about the data which is within our enterprise or the data which is secretly or securely saved within the enterprise data, whether it is a database information of a company or any kind of a thing like Salesforce data or Workday data, Zendesk data, or any kind of a data, right, which is the resource of a company that is not aware to these models. Now comes the part where we talk about MCP, where MCP talks to the data, the resources which are underlying in the system, and it takes not just, it does not only see the data, it takes the necessary action on the data also, right? So we have a get API to get the data. We also have a post API. We also have a put API, delete API is also there, right? So it means we are not just seeing or getting the data, we are also taking an action on the data also. So MCP helps the agent, these agents like ChatGPT and other agents, to take the action on the data. Means when I say I want to book an appointment with the doctor, it will not just go, it will eventually go and book the appointment in the Salesforce database and give me the results back. So that's what is breakthrough in this whole process. So earlier there was like protocol RAG, right? Where we are just fetching the data whichever is there in the system, but we are not taking any action on the top of it. But with MCP we are able to take the action also. If you have worked a bit on agent force, right, you might have heard about topic center. So topic center is being used to connect to external systems, right? Same way here, MCP is used to connect to external system. The thing is that topic center is something which is owned by agent force or the Salesforce side. But in this case, MCP is a standard protocol which is written by Entropy, one of the organization leading the space of AI, and is now being universally accepted by major organizations like Google, Microsoft, like GitHub has also given the support for it. So when a lot of organization accept a protocol, it becomes a natural way of communicating or communication. So hence, that's why we are today here to talk about MCP. Now comes the part how this protocol works and how Mule is providing the support for it. We'll talk about what MCP is. So this is an architecture. MCP protocol is basically a client server protocol where you have a MCP client and a MCP server. A MCP client is installed or is present on systems like Claude or any kind of an ID, or it can be installed on top of any kind of host systems. We say MCP host. So in our case, the MCP host is the Mule app which we are running. Okay, when we consider ourselves as an MCP client. But in today's demo, the MCP client will be Claude or Windsurf or Cursor, right? These will be MCP host rather. And MCP client is a protocol client that maintains one-to-one connection between with the server, MCP server. And today the MCP server for our case is MuleSoft Anypoint app, which is deployed on the Cloud Hub. So that is the MCP server. So MCP server is a lightweight program that expose the capabilities through the standard model protocol. Okay, and then this MCP server is connected to some kind of a resource, the local data sources. So in our case, it would be Salesforce. So connection between the Mule and the Salesforce. So Salesforce is that database which hold that information for us. So this is the general structure of or the architecture where the one-to-one connection is between the MCP server and the client. So a host can have multiple clients. Okay, and a server is then backed by the resources. So the resources can be any web API, a database, Salesforce, or any kind of a data, right? And then we talk about some core component of the architecture over here. As I mentioned, the host can be, in this case, the host is Claude or any kind of like ChatGPT or a kind of that kind of a thing. It can have a multiple clients, and each client have a one-to-one relationships between the MCP server. Okay, so that's about the host and the client. Uh, Now, to explore NCP, there are few important things which we have to take care. Core architecture we just saw. I talked about resources. Resources are the data sets which are being exposed. It can be APIs, databases, or anything. Then comes the prompt. What is a prompt? Prompt is basically what the server tells about itself. This is not the prompt which we usually write over here, right? Like here, we have written a prompt. But in the case of MCP, prompt is something which servers tell about itself. Let's say I have a MCP server of Salesforce. So the server will tell that I have the capability to, so that someone can query me, someone can put the data of a patient, get the data of a patient, get an appointment, set an appointment, get the charges, set a charges, right? So those are the prompts which is kind of a declaration from the side of the MCP server. It helps the agent to understand what capabilities the server is sharing of, what are the capabilities of this particular server, and how can the agent talk to that server. So the prompt is kind of a display of those information. So we talked about core architecture, resources, prompts, and then comes the another important part, that is tools. So tools in case of MCP is, you can think of functionality or the methods in case of the REST APIs. So let's say you have it tells about the, it expose the executable functions to the client. You have a MCP server which can perform the set of a data, right? It can insert the patient records, you can get the patient records, it can set the appointment, you can get the appointment, it can set the charges, also you can get the charges. So these are the functionalities which the server can perform, and hence they are known as tools. So when I say these are MCP tools, these are the MCP functionalities. So same in case of API, you know that you can set the appointment, get the appointment via the API, and you, in the case of API, you say the functionalities or the methods it can do, right? So same goes over here. So in that case, we say it as tools. The last important thing over here is the transportation. What transport layer does it work over? So MCP protocol works on the message format of JSON RPC. So this is one of the standard which is JSON schema.org. Okay. So this is a standard over which a lot of organizations or the internet currently is worked upon, right? We talk over internet through JSON, right? So it is already kind of a set language of internet, hence they have used this to create this RPC. So JSON data is being used for the easy interpretation. Now comes the transport layer on which we talk. So this is the sample they have given for how it looks in a JSON format, right? Now comes the part on which layer does it work. So there are two things which MCP support. One is standard input output SDIO protocol, okay, and another one is HTTP. So in the Mule, currently Mule supports the HTTP protocol, means the MCP protocol is created on the top of HTTP protocol, means the underlying protocol is HTTP. Okay, it also use the SSC event protocol, which is like kind of what we say. This is also one of the protocol which we used for client server communication at the SSC protocol, and the other one is in SCDIO protocol. Currently, a lot of the the clients in the market, which are like the Claude, Windsurf, or other clients, right? They support SGDIO, but our Mule support HTTP. So so that the these application can communicate with Mule, you have to deploy a kind of a proxy in between, which will help this which will help this bridge, right? It will help you communicate from SCDIO to HTTP. So we have to deploy a proxy in between. So I'll talk about that part also. So I would take a pause over here. I'll just tell how Mule is supporting the MCP, and then I can take a pause and we can take few questions if there are. So introducing Mule MCP support. So you have a lot of agents like ChatGPT, Cursor, or Claude, and Mule is providing the support of it. So it goes through Mule, and then Mule in turn talk to SAP or the Salesforce or any internal data, and this helps the AI agent to make the decision or take the action on these data sets. So you are no longer just seeing the data, you are taking action. Basically you are talking to the agents in a natural language, and they are for you to help you. They take the action on your behalf, they get the data, set the data. So those kind of stuff are done by the agents. You no longer need someone to talk to the API to do that stuff for you. So nothing major over here. I'll just see if we have something in the slide. So we already talk about this. Yeah, this slide is good enough to showcase. So here you can see we have, this is the agent layer, means there are different kind of agents in the market. This is Claude, sales. This is ChatGPT, and you have Agent Force, right? And some other agents which you write by yourself, right? That can also be there. And now you have deployed MCP server support, so that they can list the tools, right? As I was mentioning about the tool, and then they can take the action on it. They can really talk to your AWS, Snowflake, and other things. So is kind of another layer on the top of your the layer which is already there, like EAPI, and after the EAPI you can have an agent layer also for the agent communication. And now very soon they also are giving the support for A2A protocol. The A2A protocol is agent to agent protocol. Why there's a need of agent to agent protocol? Because currently agents are communicating to your backend data, but we need one more layer on the top of it where agents can communicate with agents. For example, agent interaction layer. So here there would be a agent on the top of it, which will be where you will be interacting with that agent, and it in turn will interact with the other agents which have their own specialty. For example, there's a sales operation agent, there's a service agent, there's an advertisement agent, lead generation agent, and hiring agent, right? So one agent would be there, it's like different verticals, and there's a top agent on the top of it, and it helps you take the data to the right agent to do the stuff. We cannot feed all the information to a single agent, otherwise it will result into hallucination of the AI model. It will not able to take any action or any kind of an action on the top of it. So I'll take a pause over here. We can take few questions and then I'll start. Uh, any questions so far?
So there is only one question from Sneha.
Yeah, so I can see someone is asking, can Mule act as MCP server or can it also act as MCP? So Mule can act both as an MCP server as well as an MCP client. The demo which we are today doing will be Mule acting as MCP server, and then you can try out Mule as MCP client also.
If anyone having question, they can unmute and ask.
More question, just it might be regarding the more client side or MCP host side. Is it generally an LLM that act as a host of an MCP
Can
under?
you repeat the question? Sorry.
Is it usually an LLM that sits behind the scenes of a MCP host, Like when you say an MCP host is there.
So yeah, MCP host will be majorly a kind of a LLM model sits on the on which the MCP client sits. So it
Mhm.
can be like your chat GPT or any kind of an ID which inbuilt have these models. So it has to be a kind of a model which can talk. Uh, Mule can also do this. Uh, it I would rather say it should not necessarily be a LLM model on which the client. So it is something which can which can support the HTTP protocol. I would bar from saying that it has to be
Mhm.
uh, uh, something of LLM kind of thing.
Okay.
What
It's
are
a
the
little bit
securities?
bad, but
Sorry, go ahead.
am I audible? Yeah, I want to get a little bit clarity about MCP protocol. What I understood till now, like this MCP protocol is especially built for those agents that generally process the natural language, right? Uh, Whatever we have written, like can you book a appointment for Ricky or someone? And from there I think that creates a model, and after that, as you told, that there is it comes under or it in a standard input output format, and to communicate to MuleSoft there there is a protocol, not protocol, I think proxy required, right? So
Yeah, the
what
proxy
I
is required because currently Mule does not support STDIO, right? So proxy part is just to make the things communicate because there are two parties, client and server. Currently, client talks in something else, the server in something else. The base layer protocol is not matching. That's why we need a proxy. Yeah, continue.
so this MCP is built especially for those agents only, because before
So
we
the
think that
MCP is
this
just for the agents, right?
agents only. Okay, and we are using MuleSoft. We all are, I think, MuleSoft people. That's why we're talking about MuleSoft. So probably we can use any other REST services also, right? If you want, uh, by
So
using a proxy.
yeah, so the demo which we'll be doing today, it is just an old project which I have. The only thing, the project was already having the REST APIs. Okay, instead of REST APIs, I created MCP server. So I was having earlier we can say like I was having HTTP server, right? HTTP listener or HTTP server are same thing, right? So by removing those and putting the MCP server earlier, as there was an HTTP server, so Postman can talk to it or browser can talk to it, right? Because that is the real client for an HTTP server, right? But when I've removed the HTTP server and put a MCP server, now who can talk? Postman cannot talk because Postman does not support such kind of a communication. But a AI agent can talk. What AI agent can talk? Like Claude, ChatGPT, or any kind of a AI model which support MCPT out of the box that can talk.
Yeah, you took the name of Windsurf and Cursor.
Mhm.
What till now? What all information or I know about it? Like these two are IDE, like a Anypoint Studio.
Hmm.
So
So
your
these are the
understanding. This
IDs. These are the IDs which out of the box support. Out of the box, they support MCP protocol. So we will be just using the chat part of that, not anything else. Uh, Only the
Yeah,
chat
we
part
have
of
some.
that.
Yeah, we have some AI capability
Mhm.
inbuilt into this thing. So probably we are
Yeah,
using for those these MCP protocol.
right.
Okay, thank you, Nikhil.
Hmm. What is the main objective of MCP? So the main objective is that if we have a lot of AI agents today, right? Many companies are building AI agents, and there are already a set of data which is the organizations are holding in their different enterprise applications like Workday, Salesforce, and everything, right? Now we want to take the action on the top of it, but if everybody keeps on developing some kind of protocol of their own, right? Agent Force develop topic center, some other organization will develop something else, another will develop something else, then it will be a cluttered, right? You will have a point to point communication because now to talk, so for the agent force to talk to something else, it has the other thing also has to support topic center, right? or something of that kind, right? But what if there's a protocol by which all the agents in the market today are available can talk to the baseline servers, right, which hold the data for us just through the simple protocol. Protocol is nothing the way of communication, right? That that's how we'll communicate. I'll give you this, you will give me this. I has to have these set of rules. You has to give me the things in that way. So that is why we are talking about it, so that the different agents in the market are supporting it, have started supporting it. Mule has also started supporting it. There would be a lot of demand coming in future where your client might ask that, can Mule, we already have these things, can an agent talk to us, can we build something on the top of it? Okay, I'll just take
One,
this last one
one
and then we'll
question,
start.
little, just so it's like kind of like a, how we are building the YAML, like exposing the REST. So is there any kind of thing like a structured way, like we can expose like our functionality in MCP?
Yeah, we'll see that. Yeah.
Okay, and what will be the security as well? We'll be seeing, right?
No,
Uh,
currently we'll just be seeing the normal communication. Security part is not the area which we are touching today.
so is it like a covering like a, whatever the HTTP support, like all the securities? Will be
So
like
whatever
any
the
specific?
HTTP layers provide security, that is there, but there are other like we have Anypoint, sorry, API manager, right, to manage the spikes, to manage the client ID secret and all. So that is also released for this kind of a protocol, but we are not covering that. So that is can be covered in maybe later.
Okay,
And when
thank
you
you.
say you act as a client, can Mule also communicate to any other MCP server? Yeah, definitely Mule can also communicate to other MCP servers. They are very widely open servers available in the market. Like as you develop apps, you can develop MCP servers and deploy it to this MCP server hub. You can deploy there, and others can communicate. How can you replace HTTP listener with MCP listener in a similar way? So that is something which we'll see in the demo. So taking less of the time now, let's start with the demo. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. So this is an old application where I am connecting to the data set which is already there. So we'll not talk about the integration, which is very standard, like communicating to the Salesforce query connector and everything. These part I'll not dwell much. So I hope let's say like this create call. So to create an appointment, I just have to have a payload. The payload looks like something like this, which is like a normal way. And this is the Salesforce get query. You are getting the data by something, right? So these are the part we'll not talk about because these are very standard. The way we usually do. Earlier I have a HTTP listener. Okay. Now I'm replacing this HTTP listener to tool listeners. So for that, what you have to do, you have to go to search in Exchange. And over here just type MCP. You will get MCP connector. There are two MuleSoft for MCP connector. I think you can start using the first one. This integration is built upon the beta support, so I think it is now released as a GA, so you can use the first one. But I have developed on this, so I think they released some time back. You will see the MCP over here, right? And these are the functionality the server support, the protocol supports, to list the tools, to list the resources and all that stuff. The major thing to set up a MCP server is tool listener. So instead of normal listener, now you have a tool listener. Listener over here. So this one is just a replacement of this. So this is the original flow. Like you have a listener and everything is same, right? Now instead of HTTP listener, you have a tool listener. So in tool listener, I'm adding a connector that is MCP server. If I'll show the configuration of it, you have to have a HTTP listener for it. As I already mentioned that the base layer is HTTP. So use your old listener of HTTP which is already there. This is the SCC endpoint for client server communication. Like this is where it actually listens to. So you have a cloud URL. slash ssc is where this actually is listening or running on. So slash ssc slash message, you can change it, doesn't matter. This is the message path, this is the endpoint path. After that, you can give the name to your MCP server. The MCP server name can be anything. I have written Mule MCP server. You can try it ABC MCP server. This is the server version. I am just using the normal version and control. Other things are by default. These are checked. So I'm using the checked option only. Now comes the part where you have configured this is the main flow. After that, we'll talk about one of the two main things over here, that is description and parameter schema. So this is the description and this is the parameter schema. Okay, so the description is the prompt which we talked about, right, over here, right? We had a word upon what is the prompt. Prompt is a self declaration of the MCP server upon what things does it do. So I have given the prompt over here, and the prompt says analyze the incoming request based upon the specific identifier and execute the relevant workflows for scheduling, data retrieval, communication, and billing. So I'm saying to book an uh, to for appointment scheduling. If someone wants to do an appointment scheduling, they have to book an appointment. I can book an appointment by collecting the Salesforce ID. Means they have to give me the Salesforce ID, uh, physician ID, the physician's Salesforce ID, appointment date on the day when you have to get the appointment time, duration for how long the appointment has to be there with the doctor, and the identifier. The identifier here is create appointment. Basically, this identifier helps me decide in the choice router where I have to send this request to which endpoint, right, or to the which API. It can be anything, right? In my case, it is to the which flow. In your case, it could be any API. So I have written that the agent must give me the information in this fashion. It should give me a Salesforce ID. It should give me a physician ID. It should get me an appointment date, appointment time, and everything. Then only I will be able to execute the next flow. Then we talk about scheduled or get appointment. How to get the appointments from the MCP server to get so a single patient. So I'm also telling that, see, a single patient can have multi appointments, and to get all the appointments by sending a request for each account ID. Means you have to give me the account ID, and you have to query as many time as many appointments are there. So a person can have 5 appointments. To get all the appointment data, you must always give me appointment ID, account ID data. And to get the physician, name of the physician from medical profession or resources by providing the Salesforce ID. So the Salesforce system hold the physician or the information of the doctor as a doctor name and the Salesforce ID of the doctor, right? Because they would doctor itself is part of the system, so he will have a Salesforce ID and his name. For example, the location, there is a location in Florida of the hospital, so it will also have its Salesforce ID. So to get these things, it is saying that to fetch the ID now, to get an appointment, uh, the appointment data will be giving the Salesforce IDs in the result, but it becomes the responsibility of the agent to get the ID and find the location name. So how it will find the location name? It has to go down and see over here. Okay, to get the medical professional name, it includes the name and the Salesforce ID. Retrieve all the doctor information. For the healthcare facility, basically it have to have the identifier and the Salesforce ID, and in turn I will reply with the medical profession name. So this is the proper prompt, and this is where all the information goes, that what the server needs, how the server will reply, and to get the other information in which is coming in the reply and which is not making sense, you have to again come and call it. So to get the data, multiple calls will happen, but we don't have to worry because agent will do that multiple call for us. It will understand this prompt, it will get the data, set the data, and again if something is required, it will again call. So those all things are done by agent. So this is a very big prompt I have written about email part also, that how I want the email to be sent. It should be a structured email and everything. So you have to give a very good prompt, very thorough prompt. Okay. After that, it comes how the data should be there. For example, office location or physician or anything, right? Or the duration. So whenever the AI agent, Claude or ChatGPT, wants to send the duration information to me, that the appointment should be for 30 minutes, it should send it as duration underscore C, value 30 minutes, and the description is the duration of the appointment in minutes. Okay. So a com- I will get a complete schema of a JSON where I'll see the duration is coming, account ID is coming, physician is coming, and then basis upon this information, I can decide which flow to call to. Okay. So it becomes these two information is something which an agent needs, right? And here I have given the identifier as enum, means it can hold any value from this basis upon whatever is written here, that if it is booking an appointment, identifier has to be create appointment. So here create appointment is given somewhere. There should be create appointment over here, right? And if create appointment is there, it will help me in my flow to decide where to go to. So this is the complete structure we write. Okay, I have not made anything and it becomes a responsibility of the agent to give me the right structure of the JSON basis upon whatever the prompt I've given. So this is the description, this is the parameter schema, and here is the response part. In the response, I am just looking for a raw payload. I would be providing the raw data to the agent back, so that agent can itself understand the meaning of the data and can decide its next move. Okay. And once the data comes over here to the listener, I have written over here a transform message. So I'll just copy this transform message. And here in the transform message, you have seen that what I'm doing at a time, these are the different variables I've created, or you can say key value pairs. And at a particular time, only one will be yes, others will be false. So one will be true, others will be false. Let's say someone wants to get appointment data. Okay. So at that time, because the get appointment is coming in side right from agent, so this become true because and conditions are there, and other becomes false. And if this is true, it will help me decide, okay, if this is true, I have to go to that particular flow of getting an appointment data. So these are the different flags I have enabled, right, which helps me decide where eventually I have to go. So this part is very common, very easy, because that's how you will decide create an API also. This part is something which would eventually do in a case of an API, right? The only difference come over here where you are making the agent understand that this is my prompt, these are my capabilities, that's how you can talk to me, and this is the data structure to which you should abide to when you're talking to me. So I cannot run this in my local, but I have deployed this in Cloud Hub because in my local I am facing some issue from yesterday. So, but it doesn't make any difference because once I deploy in local, also I can't test in local. So I've deployed this to the Cloud Hub. I'll just show. So one thing which we have to be very sure, so the app is deployed. You also have to enable Mule HTTP service implementation equal to Netty. So Netty server has to be implemented. It has to be enabled. So it has to be there once you are running it in your local, and it has to in your run configuration, and it has to be there when you are putting it in the properties. So this is one of the things you have to take care of. Other things are very normal, just exporting the app and deploying it over here. So this app is running at this place slash /ssc. So this endpoint is listening. Okay. Now comes the part where I have uh, I'll just open Cloud. So you have to have Claude, Windsurf, or any kind of thing in your desktop. This does not work with Claude in cloud or Windsurf in cloud or on. It has to be a desktop application. So you have to download it in your desktop. Okay. So once you download it, there's as I mentioned initially that currently Claude, Windsurf, all those support STDIO protocol and Mule support HTTP protocol. So there's the difference in that. So we have to have a proxy that is MCP proxy. So you can go to this link by Sparfenwick. Okay. So there's a small proxy written in I would say I think it is in Python. Okay. So you have to have Python with you. So as you can see here, Claude talks to MCP protocol over STDIO, and MCP protocol talks to the external MCP server, means Mule MCP server over SSC or HTTP. Okay, so it is just a bridge in between. So there's very good description over here. Nothing you have to do to install it. Very simple steps. Um I think here are the installation steps. So you have to install it using these commands. Okay. Either you can use installing via Smithery or you can install via PYI. So I installed it using this. So it will simply install. And once it is installed in your system, you just have to check whether it is running or not. So it should always be running by itself. You have to go to CMD. So this one is running on 8080. Okay. So proxy is running. Now what we do, we open our Claude, and over here you have to go to files and settings. So when you go to settings, there's a developer option. Another developer option, there's an option to edit config. So we go to edit config. There's a file known as Claude desktop config. We have to go and edit it. So over here you can see two MCP servers. One is MCP server, Mule MCP server, which we are using, and another one is file system server. So this file system server is available on the net. You can just download it and use it. It what it does, it helps you take some action on your file system. Means, for example, there are two folders, C drive and D drive, and you are just saying that hey AI, copy the file from C drive and put it to D drive, or rename the file. So you are talking the natural language, and the AI is doing the task for you. So that's a file system MCP server for you. Okay. And here you can see this command MCP proxy. It will run this command MCP proxy. Okay. And this MCP proxy will help for the connectivity to this location of our cloud hub, right? So you have to have MCP running, then only this MCP proxy command will be able to run. Okay. So this is the configuration, and this configuration is same whether you use WinSub, Claude, or anything. They also have their own places where you can configure this stuff. Okay, that also I'll show. So it is configured. Once you are done and it is configured, I'll just quit once the Claude app, and I'll again start the Claude app. Now the app is started. If you go over here and see this, there are two MCP servers which are running. One is file system and another one is my API MCP proxy. There is nothing but our Mule Nickel MCP server, which is our Mule MCP. So now over here, this is my Salesforce. Okay, and it has a lot of information. Like here is a Ricky Philip, one of the patient. Okay, so I want to book an appointment for Ricky. Let me try to book it with Claude. Okay, can you help me book an appointment for patient Ricky? So now what it is doing, it understand this is a patient, so it use the identifier get patient, and now it is fetching the information about the Ricky. Okay, that okay, great, I found out Ricky. So the name is Ricky, his account ID, Salesforce account ID, phone number, and everything it got. Now it is telling that to book an appointment, it need physician information, appointment date, and all that stuff, right? So I'll just say that can you help me with some location? I am based out of Florida. So I am asking it that what all location it have in Florida. Okay. So this is the part where the intelligence of a system comes in. Now, not just it get all the possible locations from the Salesforce, but it also identified from the internet that Jacksonville office is in Florida. This information is not even in the Salesforce. This information is in the internet, right? So that's when the agent's intelligence and the data sets which we have make more sense. So this is not a normal chatbot you will find on any website. It is an intelligent chatbot which can help you with other kind of an information. Now it also get me a list of physician also, right, by itself. So all the ID stuff and all, it is talking by itself. I am not doing anything for it, right? So let's say I want to book the appointment for Jackville office. Okay, and with Dr. Sanjay Mehta for upcoming Monday. So it has to identify itself the date. Okay, for 4 p.m. at 4 p.m. Sorry, at 4 p.m. for 30 minutes. So it should ideally go book the appointment for me for with. So you can see it has got the name. It converted the name to Salesforce IDs, and now it is trying to book an appointment. So appointment has been successfully created. Okay, now I'll just say, can you send me an email for this appointment at. Now it should ideally send this information to me over the mail. and that too also in the structure which I have given in my prompt, that's how the agent should talk to me when sending the information. So it has sent an email, it is saying ideally we should get it. Let's see if we get. So here is the appointment detail, this email confirms blah 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 with whom it is there, right? So you can see how the system is able to book an appointment, how it is able to suggest the things that what location is near, and then take all the actions, right? So if I have created the APIs, then a normal person would have taken 5 minutes to firstly find all the interaction through the Salesforce, getting the ID, setting the ID, finding the ID of a patient, finding the ID of the physician, finding the ID of the location, and then creating an appointment, and then making an API, and then calling the Salesforce, then calling the email API as well, right? So that's how you can book an appointment. Also, I can ask, can you send me the complete list of my old appointments over email? So it was like a bad prompt from my side. I said my appointment, so it should ideally get Ricky Phillips appointment. So now with appointment data, it has to do multiple times because there could be uh, multiple appointments for this, right? So it has got the appointment information, and it would try to send it to me. I think it is saying there is no previous appointment Ricky Philip had, so maybe this is the only appointment he have. Okay, so no historical information, but we can check for. Can you send me the? There is another patient Geo, so they are having some charges and everything, right, in the system. So it should ideally get me the patient charges. So firstly, it is doing getting the patient ID from the first name. From the first name, now it is trying to. Let me see what is the patient name. I'm giving a bad patient name. J by O. Sometimes it does not work, but I'll just see. Let me just see windsurf. Meanwhile, you guys can start posting the questions. We are just at the end of this presentation. We'll take another 5-10 minutes to answer the question. So for WinSub also there is a location mcp config.json. Everything is same as the earlier mcp config. So you also have to have WinSub installed as desktop client only. Currently the protocol is new and all, so sometimes it lags. But here also you can see under the MCP servers there's Mule server and there's a file system one. So can you so see this one works with faster. So it got me the complete charges of Joe. Can you please send email to Joe? So how it will send the email to Joe? What it will try to get the email information of Joe from the demographic information which Joe itself have in the Salesforce, and that is my email ID. So it got the email ID, and it has sent the information about the charges which they have due with the hospital. So these are the charges. Hey dear Joe, these are the medical summary. So these are the charges due, right? So that's all from my side on the MCP protocol, how the protocol is working, and of course the space is growing. So stay tuned. Okay, let's take a few questions.
I think the question is starting from one, so maybe you can scroll up.
Okay, like appointment scheduling is associated with XY floor corresponding OS. Okay, does MCP it start from where?
Speak about that. So there are some descriptions that we have given, right? So how those descriptions are connected to the corresponding flow? Does that MCP
Hmm.
automatically understands it, or any
So
way that?
agent must understand the description. So I have given a description. If you see the description, this has to be not a lot of wordy, right? It has to be. So I initially wrote this by my style, and then of course I took the help of a lot of AI also to write in a proper way so that it is very crisp. Okay. So it starts from here. Let's say you want to get patient information. So what I've written, data retrieval. So if agent wants to do a data retrieval, what kind of data retrieval it want to do? Patient information, medical profession information, or healthcare facility information. For patient information, search for the patient details using the first name. Means I'm saying that if the agent wants to search anything for patient, the agent must send me the first name. And if the agent wants to send the first name, the agent will question me that tell me the first name. So I tell the agent the first name. Say agent take the first name to this, okay. And also I'm telling the agent that send me an identifier. An identifier should be get underscore patient, okay. So it created this kind of a structure you saw in the WinSub. So it created some structure like this: identifier get patient first name Joe. Where it get this structure from the next part, where I have written this whole description that identifier you have to choose anything from these identifiers. This is complete list. How it will know which one to choose? I have written over here that choose get patient. This one, right? Telling him choose get patient, make it a part of identifier, and send me the first name also. This should be the first name. First name should be a string. So all this information the agent is understanding and sending me the right data structure. And once I get the right data structure, I am using my Mule skills to send it to the right flow. I hope this part is clear.
Yeah, yeah, that's that.
Hmm.
And because now we're not going to use this API kit router at all. It's all like MCP listener.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
this MCP listener itself
No, you
routes.
can use API Kit router also. For example, you have made the thing till so let's say this don't assume this to be, let's say the till pappy the things are already there. You even have the eAPI also, right? The things are there. You have to have another layer on the top of it, right? So I have eAPI where I can set the Salesforce data for account. I can get the data. I can upsert, insert for account. Then I have one for opportunity. I have one for contact. I have, so there are many APIs, right? So instead of this time, this flow reference going to actually to the flow, in your case, the flow reference will actually go to the API. No difference.
If there is multiple like a functionality, then there will be like a choice router will be like huge, right? So is there any kind of concept like a it will auto route like a API key router how it's routing, right?
So API kit here this time that you are creating this choice router by yourself uh, to add some intelligence. The idea is that we should have a lot number of MCP servers and less number of these choices, kind of a thing, right? Because then, for example, let's say there should be a specific server for Salesforce things. There should be a specific server for the Workday thing. There should be a specific server for uh, 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 let's say what you use Zendesk or for Zoho or any kind of app, right? For Workday, right? So a specific server for each of them, and then a one agent talking to these different one, and one agent which is talking to the agent. So utility or functionality specific agents, right? So one agent would just talk to the Salesforce, one agent would just talk to the Workday, and one agent which is sitting on the top of it where you talk to it, and then eventually the communication happens. So there's no out of the box support which you are asking, and this is something which I explored on my own. Maybe I'll explore more and I'll get to know.
So myself is Srinivas. So it's mainly
Mhm.
on the, so if you have multiple systems, so we have multiple MCP servers. So
Yeah,
I think the question is
but
pretty
there's a
much.
limitation to number of MCP server you can connect to a system. I think it is currently 25 or something odd, right? But
Mhm,
uh, then comes the part where agent to agent communication will proceed. You will
mhm.
have few agents specific to some set of things, and then an agent which talks to the right agent based upon what things has to be done.
Got you. So it's mainly on the, if you have multiple process APIs, so the process APIs can be converted into MCP server. So
Hmm.
it's like how do we combine all these process APIs into connect into one agent so that it can get data from Salesforce, get data can get from Workday
Mm-hmm.
or all of the other systems. So
Right,
can, how
right.
can we do that? Is that what you're trying to say, that having it as a common agent?
Having a agent which sits on the top of these agents. So we have Workato agent, you have Salesforce agent, you have Zendesk agent, you have many other agents, right? And
Hmm.
there's an agent which is there which talks to this, and the agent talks to agent with the protocol known as A to A, agent to agent protocol.
Okay,
So for that also support is released, and I'm also trying that demo on that. Maybe once I develop, I'll do
gotcha.
another session on it. Yeah. I think. Actually, there are so many questions, but anyone next? There's an option to raise hand, so basically, I'll rather prefer you speaking out the question and raising the hand.
Uh, yes, Nikhil.
Hmm.
Uh, so I have a question related to that particular tool listener.
Hmm.
Uh, as per theory, we have a proxy between MCP and MuleSoft, and this tool listener seems work on an MCP protocol. So why we are using that tool listener in Anypoint Studio or in a MuleSoft?
So, why we are using is how would agent communicate to the MuleSoft data or the data which is which Mule which is back end of the Mule, right? How the agent will communicate to you. Have an agent, right? The agent is Claude, Win7. How it cannot communicate to API. It does not support an
Okay,
API support,
we,
right?
we have a proxy in between, right? So proxy can't
Proxy is
convert it.
just no, no. Proxy is the Claude itself. If you have seen over here, if you see over here, this MCP, this thing, this file system server. Okay, so the file system server is one of the server which is available in the market. MC file system server MCP. Okay, this is you can download it from anywhere. I think this one. So you can download this one. This server works on a protocol known as STDIO protocol. So STDIO protocol is not the HTTP protocol. Is a different protocol. And currently, all these applications support STDIO. Okay, but Mule supports HTTP. That is a The proxy is a bridge between both of them. Proxy is doing no intelligence. It is just taking the data, sending the data, again taking the data and sending it to another system. So it has no role to play or any kind of a configuration you have to do. It is, I think, in few days, if these guys, right, they'll release the support for HTTP. So already I think there is data s- data stack. So this is also one of the agent which supports HTTP. So in that case, you don't need any kind of a proxy in between. So proxy has nothing to do, or uh, it's just
I think
required because you need to do the set. Yeah,
proxy is also using some protocol. So is it using MCP only or HTTP? I think HTTP, right? The proxy.
the proxy is using both the protocol STDIO and HTTP because it is
Okay.
taking the data over STDIO and sending it over HTTP.
Yeah, I just want to understand the flow. Like it's sending those requests in a HTTP format to MuleSoft,
Mule,
and
yeah,
MuleSoft,
and Mule is returning
yeah,
in the
Mule.
HTTP, right? And
Uh,
once the Mule return in HTTP, it convert it to STDIO and send it to the applications like Claude and Windsurf because they don't understand over HTTP. So I think in few days they all will release HTTP support and then this proxy thing is out of the question.
okay.
Okay. Any tips to create and generate correct prompt? So you firstly write your own prompt, I would say. The, like and once you have written, just take the help of any chat GPT and all. So that's to make it crisp. Uh, Basically, it's your skill that you challenge the agent itself or the chat GPT itself that you give me a better prompt. So instead of asking other kind of a question to it, you are asking itself the question to give the better prompt.
One more question. If Can you show the part where you have added a logic in data weave to route through the different flows? So I just want to have an idea on how we can think about architecting about an MCP server. How can we provide a solution to the client? So we should think about the prompt. And we should think about creating the schema and how using these schema and prompt we can route it through Mule in different flows. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Mm.
over here you can see my transfer message, right? So what trick over here is that at time a single thing is enabled. If you want to get the so this is the key thing. Identifier is the key thing over here. I would say very bold way that create appointment is an identifier which helps because at a time only one will be true, right? Whether you are creating an appointment, getting it because once you call an API also, right? At a time you do single call, you hit a postman with single call, right? You get the data from that call and then you use that data in the next call, right? So that's the key thing I've used over here that I am basically tricking the agent that to call a particular API or to call a particular flow, you must send me the identifier, and the identifier should be like create appointment, get patient, get charges. You can see the keywords are more like an API. So that has to be there, and those things which are coming in the request that should not be blank, right? Means empty stuff should not be there. Let's say give me a get patient and itself is not sending me first name, right? That is also something which I don't need. So if it abides to all this, it becomes valid, it becomes true. Other becomes false because if the identifier is not coming, in any case it is becoming false, right? So this become true and also become a very legitimate true because other things are also coming. So you have to do a bit of a reverse thought process over here that what my data needs, then how can I tell my prompt that basically when you write a prompt, you have to think how you have to direct your agent that that's the only way you can talk to me. Whenever you want to get a patient data, send me a get patient keyword, send me the patient name, and then if you send these two, send them in the structure or the key value pair which I have given to you. That's the only way you can send it to me. So the agent itself is intelligent. I think there are a lot of gray thought process in people who are listening to this, right? That how it will happen or how it will decide. When you will start developing it, you will be astonished to see the fact that the system itself will take these keywords and it will create the request for you. Your part will be only to take the request and decide in your choice router that where to route this to. So all the magics is rather done by the agent. We just write this prompt very finely and we write these things very finely so that the agent understand and send you the right thing.
Okay.
One question, when you'll be creating like a super agent, suppose like a top of the agent is going to call the child agent. So how that MCP requester will be there, right? There will be any concept of.
So agent to agent communication is not through MCP. It is
Oh,
A2A
is it?
protocol. There's a different
Oh,
protocol for that. And
okay.
down the line, of course, MCP is there. So agent, the duty of the agent, child agent would be just to provide the data on the top. That's it. And the duty of the host agent, right, would be to decide which agent to talk to. For example, you have a big team. There's a finance team. There's a HR team, and someone is wants to leave the organization. You will talk to HR. You will tell first to them that he wants to leave. Once you get the thing done from that part, you will tell the finance team that give him FNF, right? So there are different teams. That's where there are different agents. The main agent is just deciding whom to talk to, and then the rest work is done by the agent which is down there.